they opened up a little small track in Danville called the Dixie Speedway, and they wanted to get some black drivers, and they thought they didn't know who to approach, so they went to the police department to find out what black guys had speeding records and things like that. So they told them they want somebody to drive a race car to see me. So that's how I started racing.
As Matt told us earlier, trying to become the first African-American driver since Willie T. Ribbs and join Randy Bethea and the great Wendell Scott.
He did he drove the car exactly what the car wanted him to do. He got out early. It looked like a little tight, but he kept in the throttle and he got a good lap, and wow, way to go.
There you go.
Woo-hoo. That's it.
That man, Tony Schumacher, wins. He is the champion for an 8th time. But Antron Brown, if Tony Schumacher loses, becomes the first African-American to win an NHRA title. 376, Antron Brown is the top fuel champion.
These need to be the best 7 laps of Darrell Wallace Jr.'s life.
That was a good first part of it right there.
Turn number 4, Darrell Wallace Jr. is going to get his first win in the Camping World Truck Series. His final time through 3 and 4. He's going to do it. Bubba Wallace wins at Kansas.
Ready. What they gonna say now, baby? Let's go!
Record is equals. Lewis Hamilton wins the Turkish Grand Prix and is a 7-time champion of the world.
Get in there, Lewis. What a way to do it, mate. What a way to win your 7th world title.
Welcome to another episode of Victory Lane Vibes. We are your hostesses with the mostesses. Danny's here, Arthur's here, and it looks like the bus got off of Carl. Carl's back.
Oh boy!
Put it back on him.
I tell you what, man. There's so many Godfather clips that I can apply to what has happened in my absence. First of all, the fact that I was insulted and somebody, my own right-hand woman, Danny, decided to leave in that really ridiculed. You know, it's like that scene in Godfather 2 in my home. And when my children and my wife play, like, come on, bro. And then
To be fair, I was channeling my inner you with the cold open and the nonsense in the beginning. In a lot of ways, that was a love letter to your absence.
Well, Anna can learn from Obi-Wan, and we saw how that ended up. But and then also, right, like I was enjoying, the absence, not having to stare at Audacity like wildly for an hour to remember what I was doing. And then Art's like, you got to be on this week. I'm like, well, what time? And Art's like, 7:30. And then, of course, like the idiot that I am, I forgot that it was Nation time, so that was fun. And then I'm just like, just when I thought I was out, they put me right back in because y'all been doing your thing without me. I'm like, hey, look, I'll retweet it. Congratulations, I'm on the side. Go bestie. But then, because I've taken time off. I've traveled the world. I've started a family. It ain't been that long. But we gotta get the show in a row. But I do want to say this. So in my absence, this podcast has answered an incredible question that I've been poised with before. Somebody asked me before. A while ago, when we had the presidential debates, I was standing next to somebody. This is 2020. This is 3 or 4 years ago now. Somebody asked me, is it possible that one person talking about what they don't know about is more or less correct than two people talking what they don't know about? And I've thought about it, and the answer is two people who don't know what they're talking about are absolutely more wrong than one person, and the proof is this podcast. Because between Art, Jarrett, myself, and Bonte, we don't know what the we're ever talking about. and we get proven wrong all the time. So that answered that question. Notice I didn't put Danny in there. But anyway, I'm happy to be back on this wonderful Christmas Eve to do whatever it is that was so damn important that I had to rush home and not even eat dinner.
Vacation's over. Get back to work.
Two of us, big dog.
Whatever. Anyway, so what? So now that I'm here, what is so important? What do we got going on?
Well, you know, it is Christmas time. I'm in my, y'all can't see, but I'm in my Christmas fit. And you know, we promised you all that we will not rest during the off season. And I feel like we the EBT card still got some money on it for the lobster and the steak, but we figured we give y'all a present from us to you. Happy holidays from Victory Lane Vibes.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
No problem.
Well, I think how we have it set up, I think we're going to go round robin and each of us just throw a question at you until we get them all answered. That's what it seems like.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I'm gonna kick us off then. I don't want to step on any toes. I apologize. But, you know, Antron, I watched you race Pro Stock Motorcycle against Andrew Hines and the V-Rides and everything. What was it that made you decide, let's try Top Fuel?
Man, it's one of those deals where I just grew up like around the sport of drag racing, and Top Fuel and Funny Car were they were the top tier classes, man. And something I always wanted to do, you know what I mean? Just didn't know how or yet knew how I was going to get the opportunity to make it happen. And so I was hooked like a big mouth bass since I was a little kid. Like my dad and uncle took me to the racetrack, and I remember going in 1986. I'm telling my age now. 1986, I was 10 years old, and it took me to my first national event, the Summer Nationals at Englishtown, New Jersey, and I saw Big Daddy Don Garlitz, Kenny Bernstein, all the big players, Bob Glidden. I remember the Pro Stock bikes coming out back in the day. That was just like the beginning of that class. You know what I mean? And with the Terry Vances and the Dave Schultz and people like that. And I just remember watching as a kid. I'm like, man, I saw on TV when I saw in person, but when those nitro cars fired up, I was like, what is that? And it had me like at hello. It had me at hello. And I was hooked, and I was like, man, if I could just do this one day, like it was a dream. Like, never knew it was going to come to reality, and it's something I always wanted to do.
That's awesome.
I can go next. Antron, so a little bit starstruck, right? I mean, like when I told some people close to me this week that we were doing this, and like I was just like, I just can't believe that, we have this guy with us. But I wanted to ask, I know you get asked this question probably a lot by people who aren't familiar to drag racing, and we're like a NASCAR heavy podcast. We try to cover everything. Like you're in our intro, if you ever get a chance to listen to us, we try to cover all forms of black excellence in motorsports. But to try to explain to people, like, could you try to put into words, in the layman's terms, what is it like, the sensations, the sounds, the smells, like what is it like to drive a Top Fuel dragster? Like I looked up some stats the other day just to familiarize myself. Like I knew a lot about you, but I just want to make sure. And I think like your fastest recorded pass was like 336.7.
Yeah.
Is unreal, Yeah. So I guess my question was just to explain, like, to our listeners who maybe like aren't familiar with drag racing, what is that like?
Yeah, well, that's what's recorded right now. But I've been 338 at the last few events. We went 338 miles an hour, so that's not up. That's not up in the books yet. And we went 299 mile an hour at half track in Charlotte this year. So, and we went over 337 in Charlotte also too. I think we went 338 and some change or something like that too. But the thing is that
what a lot of people don't realize is that, for one, we're at the cusp of 12,000 horsepower. Okay, so when people don't realize what that is, what I can tell what people what that is people are fascinated, like you guys talk about NASCAR. A NASCAR engine makes about 850 horsepower. Okay, so at the end of the day, to make 12,000 horsepower, you literally need about 14 NASCARs to do that. Engines put together to make the power that we make, and then also is about 6 semi trucks of torque. We make close to 16,000 foot-pounds of torque out of these vehicles. So they're not just high horsepower makers, they're stump pullers. Okay, so when we leave the line, we try to rotate the earth. You know what I mean? So that's why I try to tell people. Sometimes we don't rotate the earth with us. Sometimes we throw those good years up in the air and we smoke them, smoke them up. But we don't try to do that. But the coolest part about what we do is that we try to take something that is pure chaos and we try to make sense out of it. And by doing that is that you got to realize that we are the fastest accelerating vehicles on the planet, period. Okay, we out-accelerate the space shuttle taking off, a jet carrier being catapulted off to take off an aircraft carrier. If they could have our acceleration, they could do it in half the distance. So for us, is the craziest part of it is that sometimes I look back and going, this is some crazy stuff. And sometimes I see cars up the side, I actually do this. What's wrong with me? And but you look at it, we pull literally 6 Gs in a straight line, straight line. Like nothing else does that. The only way you pull more Gs in a jet fighter plane is because you're going like over 600 miles an hour and you make a 90-degree bank turn and you can pull over 10 Gs. That will make you pass out, of course. But for us, we do it in a straight line. So we go from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 0.8 of a second. We're doing 100 miles an hour. So you step on the gas, whether you like it or not, you're going 100 miles an hour. And in 2.92 seconds is our, like, not mine, but it's the quickest run to the 8th mile in the top fuel car. And they're doing right at 300 miles an hour in less than 3 seconds. So we're basically gaining 100 mile an hour per second is what we're doing. Per second. And what that does, what people don't realize is this is the crazy part. Imagine traveling 660 feet, which is 2 football field lengths. Okay, 2 football field lengths. You could travel that distance in less time than somebody can run the 40-yard dash in. Right? Like literally, we're traveling 2 football fields in 2.9 seconds. 2.9 seconds. You talk about Tesla going from 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. We're going 300 miles an hour. Right? Tesla what? What kind of battery power you want? What kind of juice you want? LiPo ain't got nothing on nitro, baby.
Oh man. Oh man, that just real quick. That's so funny that you mentioned NASCAR, because like one of the recurring themes on our show is we constantly are complaining about the struggle right now in the Cup Series to add more horsepower back. I don't know if you follow that closely or anything, and so we're fighting to go from 675, I think, back to 750. So, and they're acting like it's a big deal. So they would probably have a heart attack over 12,000. So thank you so much, man. So thank you so much for answering that.
Yeah, and it's funny to contextualize that, because I actually used to work in road car development, and one of my projects, we were very happy to average 1.2 longitudinal G just to 60. Usually through the quarter, the average is like 0.8. And I remember us being very thrilled that we were able to accomplish that. So to think of well over 6 is just insanity.
Yeah, dude, that's what it's all about, Daniel. Is the cool part about our sport on the science, technology, engineering, math side of it is that's what our deal is. Is like you only get out what you put in. But a lot of the science that we put into it is that the math doesn't equate sometimes because we have so many other variables that come into it. But that's what I love about the sport of nitro racing is that you're able to work and develop stuff that we're going to use. Like we're working on tomorrow's technology today. Okay, like give you example, all the cars you see, even in other realms of sports like drifting and IndyCar, F1 and stuff like that from back in the day. I mean, drag racing, we were using superchargers and turbos in our sport. We're using superchargers in our sport back in the 50s, before a supercharger even ever came on a normal automobile. We're using turbos, like all the technology you see now to make the cars more powerful and fuel efficient. That all came from motorsports, and a lot of it stemmed from drag racing. Drag racing, if you look at all the major players in NASCAR, even people from Hendrick, like Rick Hendrick himself, he came from drag racing. Joe Gibbs, before he owned all his teams, he owned drag racing teams. All the different people like Sox and Martin back in the day, they used to be pro stock car guys that went NASCAR racing. Like all the stuff stemmed from drag racing. The heritage of drag racing is rich. Like Richard Petty, a lot of people didn't realize that he used to drag race before he went NASCAR racing. He was a drag racer. You get what I mean? So he dabbled back and forth in drag racing several times. I mean, at the end of time is that drag racing is the root of all racing. It started from one block to the next block, and that's how it developed. And who has the fastest ride? Now, just from the 50s to now, is that all that technology that they did over all the years is finally showing up there. You know what I mean? Even on every other side that you look at. From the EV side. The EV side, the standard of it's how quick can you make it? Why they're trying to make it quick? Well, it comes from drag racing. That's what drag racing is. 0 to 60 is our 60-foot clock cone. The standing quarter mile. What's the standing quarter mile? Is our drag strip. So that's where it all stems from.
Yep, and to build on that, working, the wonderful rollout that we use as well. But my thing is, you've talked a lot about certainly your top fuel exploits. Take me back to when you were in motorcycles, please.
The motorcycle. Hey, that was back in the day. Like a lot of people don't realize that I grew up basically motocross racing, dirt bike racing, and I did it since I was a little kid. And I literally, when they took the training wheels off my pedaling bike, I had a dirt bike waiting for me because my older brother and my cousin, they were actually out there riding in the fields already. So I wanted to get out there with them. So as soon as I took the trainers off my bike, I hopped on my little Z50 Honda and went out there and cut it up with them and had a blast. And then I started racing motocross pretty seriously once I got into my early age of over 10, like 11, 12 years old. And then by the time I was 13, 14, I was full blown. Like I was ate up with it. Loved it, and pretty much that was my sport because they didn't have junior dragsters to drag race when I was a kid. That didn't come out until like 1994 when I was graduating high school, which I was too old for it anyway, that I could start racing like big vehicles, which I was drag racing street bikes at the time. And that's what got me into sport because it was cheap for me to do because I didn't have to do a race car because a race car costs big money, of course, which the money I did not have. And that's how I was able to make that all happen. And I literally watched my dad and uncle race the sportsman ranks for so many years. And then I just got to grow up around it. And I fell in love with it. And I did the bike side of it. And that's where I met Troy Vincent, who played for the Philadelphia Eagles. And he had love for racing. And it was him and my cousin Tommy. Tommy, she married Troy, and she was the one that told Troy about me. He said, hey, I got my cousin who grew up riding dirt bikes and stuff like that. I think he'd be a perfect fit for this if you want to go do this racing deal professionally. And that's what we did. We literally went professionally racing, and I loved it, man. It was just like I feel like I just did it like last year, even though that was over 25 years ago. It's probably older than I started racing before y'all were born, probably. It was over 25 years ago. So
unfortunately, that's not true.
Oh man, Carlito Sway. Well, how old are you, man? How old are you, man?
I turned 30 this year.
Oh, you still young buck, man. I was 17. I was 17, man, eating cheesesteaks and going to get me a little Slurpee, man, at the 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Danny did the blast to the past, and I'll bring it back forward. So you started your own race team. Matco and Toyota came with you. What's that been like being driver owner as opposed to just driver?
Oh man, that's a popular question, man. And I could tell you what it feels like to be not just be a driver, but be an owner. And I tell people this all the time. The feeling is broke. I'm broke, man. Oh man, but no, besides that, man, it's been one of those really good journeys of really finding myself, learning, and doing it with the right people that's got the support. You know what I mean? It's not my race team, it's our race team. And that's what I always tell people is that AB Motorsports, I always tell people it's like I say, it's all brothers, because brothers and sisters, really. I should have put ABS is what I should have did, like any like brake system, but it's all brothers and sisters all aboard where we're doing this all together. And the main thing is that this is what I want to be. I want to compete at a high level, and I want to have the ability and be able to change directions when I see fit. And you can't do that when you race for other people, because you keep on going down the same road, or you don't put the funds or the money where you want to, because it's a business also, and you got to be smart about that also. But for me, is that I just want to give back to the partners that I'm partnered with, give them everything that I have, and also give everything I have on the racetrack. And I'm coming to win. And that's my game plan. And that's what I plan on doing. And that's what I want to do. So with that being said, is that being a team owner, once you get that stuff going, it's like you have to figure out how to separate all that while you're driving too. You got to know when to have the owner hat on, when to have the driver hat on, and when to turn it all off so you can recoup and to get some juice charged back up and some energy to go back out to do what we do, you know?
Yeah, Jared took my question. I'm a little bit mad about that. I was way but yeah, I mean, it's really awesome to hear that. I mean, it wasn't just for you, right? It was for everybody that's involved in racing's a team sport. And so that was a really great answer. I guess the only other question I had for you, I had a bunch, but the only one that's maybe a little bit fun and not like too deep or anything, given like the right partnership, the right parameters, right? If you could go out and do anything else, any other form of motorsport for just a weekend, not even a full season, you know, what would it be? And I know you got to tread lightly there because you're a company man, but just any ballpark it.
I don't know, man. That's one of those deals where, man, I like it all, man. That's the bad part. And I think if I had to do something, I think, man, good Lord, man. It's so hard to pick one. I like to have like a few weekends where I got to do multiple ones.
You can give
know what I
three.
mean?
You can give three.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, well, for one, for sure, is that I would like. I would love to go do like a stadium truck race, like definitely off-road, like stadium truck, or even do some of the off-road style stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I need to be in a truck for long and do Baja. I like to do the stadium stuff where it's tight-knit racing, where you're rubbing side to side and doing laps. But the Baja stuff and the Mint 400 stuff, that stuff is fun too. Had do some of that. I would love to race NASCAR and IndyCar, without a doubt. F1 for sure. F1, absolutely F1. Like, I'm not even going to play. Like, F1 will definitely be on the top of the bucket list. Like, not too many people get to even drive those cars. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Those cars are simply amazing. And I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to do that. But with that being said, man, it's so many different deals. I like to also get in the drift side of things too, man. Like I like to do it all, man. I love road racing too. I love road racing. Like road racing is definitely a big pet peeve of mine where you actually got to shift it. No paddle shifting, no nothing. Like real deal car shifting and driving. Like
Right, absolutely.
like no automatic, none of that stuff. Like a real deal clutch stick. Get in it. Like go out there with like some manual cars and go race. Like road racing. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's something I've been trying to get more into the last couple of years, just because the technique side of it is so interesting and cool. But I mean, hey, as far as the NASCAR side of thing goes, Denny Hamlin has that '67 car now that they're trying to make a star car. I mean, you guys got the Toyota connection there, so it's a conversation you could have.
I know, man. So he's got another car, a '67 car.
Yeah,
Who's going to put in it?
Well, so what they did starting last year was they brought out this car. Like Travis Pastrana raced in the Daytona 500, and Kamui Kobayashi raced it at the Indy Road Course last year. And it's just a star car, from what we understand. Just like how Justin Marks has Project 91, where they bring guys from other forms of racing, to run NASCAR for a weekend. Like Shane Van Gisbergen last year, this year, SVG ran the Chicago Street Race and won, and it was a whole big ordeal. And so Denny Hamlin's doing that. I don't know if they're doing it again next year. I would assume so. And then even and Brad Keselowski's team, RFK, the old Roush team, has even added their version of it this year as kind of a cool deal. So that might be something you want to holler about. Yeah.
You ain't lying, man. That makes it up my alley, man. I want to do some of that short course stuff like Bristol, man.
Hey, look, just remember Victory Lane vibes when you get it set up.
hey, and I got a thing for you too. So what's happening in NASCAR world? What's Jimmy Johnson doing, man?
So he's an owner now. He retired in at the end of 2020.
That's another Toyota connection.
That's another Toyota connection, yeah, because this year they switched to. He bought into Richard Petty's team, and so that's Legacy Motor Club now. And they switched to Toyota this year. Got a really solid lineup. I'm looking for him to win this coming season.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Jimmy Johnson's part owner in the Richard Petty's program, then, right? And I know they went to Toyota. I knew that already. So, I was just trying to hear some more of the news about it. Is it a 2-car team or 1-car team?
It's 2 full-time cars with John Hunter Nemechek and Eric Jones. And then, as we know right now, Jimmy Johnson's running, I think, 6 races this year.
Okay. Awesome.
In the 84, yeah.
Yep. Oh, he's going to get that program turned around tight, so it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do.
He had some strong showings last year, and both times it got cut out right at the end. It was upsetting, but yeah, I'm excited to see him back in form. I think he's going to have something for these young cats. Because I grew up with Jimmy Johnson domination, so.
Yes, yeah. he, let me tell you something. That man's a competitor, and he competes to win, brother. He competes to win.
100%. So, thank you for that, Danny. You got something?
I do. I don't know how much more time we have, but I am familiar. I watched when you were one of the presenters on Top Gear USA a handful of years ago. And so I'm just curious about sort of, a driver and then doing effectively, media presentation, doing television. Just quite, what is that like?
Man, Daniel, man, I see you get into everything, don't you, man? You got some research.
She's our statistician. She knows everything.
She knows everything, huh?
Yeah, she knows everything.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but yes, I have a broad remit of things that I like to read and pay attention to.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. I got you. But all right, so one thing is that when I got to do Top Gear America, that was a blast, man. Almost killed me that year though, because they had me all over the place. And but it was a lot of fun to dive into the call culture world and do different things and find different things that I like, and just driving cars like Lamborghinis, driving Maseratis and different cars of that nature, and testing new cars that were coming out. UTVs too. Like I tested the new Can-Am when it came out, and it really changed the whole benchmark of all the UTVs to what we have now. Now they come out, all of them are like that now. So with that being said, it was a lot of fun to dive in and critique cars and tell like people your personal opinion, like your unbiased opinion, because you're not sponsored by this one or that one. You can say, hey, this car was like crap. This car was good. This car was it felt good here, but it's rough here. It really ain't got no power. It sounded like it got power, but it got all the sound, but no go. So, but it was some really impressive stuff out there that we got to drive and do, and to travel, not just in the U.S. I got to go overseas a couple times to do a couple different things too, and it was a blast. It was a truly blast, and I wish that we would have had another season a go at it, but a lot of us had so many things going on, and me with my race schedule, it was killing me, man. But I would love to do another show with just a couple little different spins on it, and just not critiquing cars, but actually using them in the element that they were designed to do, and then put them to the test and see how good they really are. That's the cool part, you know what I mean? And I think something down the road like that I would love to do again. So I'm always leaving that open, and you might see some other stuff just with me in general doing stuff on TV. So that might be coming there, where you get to see a little bit more inside of what AB's really like 24/7, because besides running the race team, I'm in the gym every other day, if not almost every day, keeping myself right and tight. And then also all the stuff from my kids get into racing and seeing how they're coming up around and what they're doing with it all.
Okay. Do your kids race?
Yes. My daughter, all three of my kids race. My youngest son, Adler, who's 15, he likes racing, but he's not in love with racing. But my oldest son, Anson, he's my older of my two boys. He's the one that loves racing. He's all in it to win it. He wants to do everything. He always loved cars. He loves to get into it and do it and make it happen. And then my daughter Ariana, for sure, she loves it. She loves it. She's our oldest child, and she says, "Dad, I was born to do this." I'm like, "Oh my God, here we go. We in trouble."
So that Junior Draxler comes in.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Jared,
that's awesome. Well, we won't take up too much more of your time. We just will appreciate you spending your evening with us, answering some questions. And on behalf of Art, I know he's in the background, but I definitely appreciate you taking the time to let us interview.
Oh, anytime. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. And hopefully we're around you guys' neck of the woods here sooner or later this next year. Y'all come out and check us out live.
100%.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We'll show you what the straight line boys are all about.
Hey, we would love nothing but
Hey, only time we go left is to turn off the track, baby. Turn off the track.
Thanks so much, AB. We appreciate it so much, man.
Anytime. Y'all take care. Y'all have a good evening. All right. Thank y'all.
Until next
Appreciate
time.
Well, then, personally, that was pretty powerful. I remember my dad taking me and my brother to Virginia Motor Speedway here, Senachari track that's come and gone and come and gone and come and gone. But to seeing Antron race in person, on the motorcycles, and then seeing him come back, top few, and being there for qualifying. I think he won one of the races that we went to there too. It's surreal that a man that I got to see, and I don't know, for those of you who haven't been to the NHRA race, each ticket is a pit pass, so you can literally pull up on your driver at the truck, at the team, and get autographs and watch them rebuild the motor, put it back together. That's amazing to see how fast they do that, because then when you see the recordings on TV, it just goes and goes and goes and goes. But watching it in real time and literally seeing all of the maintenance things they have to do to make the car perform for the next round, it's pretty admirable. So I'm still flabbergasted. We we got to not only do this for us, but we got to do this for
Yeah,
y'all. So like I said, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I was telling the guys, us when we were talking about this, like Antron Brown was a guy that I graduated in 2011, and he won his first title in 2012. But Antron Brown was a guy that I was writing about in like high school, like about whenever you had to write a paper about sports heroes or current events in X, Y, and Z. Because despite our lovely conversation, for I think most of us, he was stateside the first example that we had of a black success in motorsports, in that regard, you know what I mean? Well, in our lifetime, right, there have been some others before him. So that was really cool. I've always followed Antron, super funny dude. I was so nervous going into this. And yeah, super cool. I'm so glad that this went off like that. I hope you guys love it. Yeah, man, I really wanted to ask him, and I feel like it was going to be too personal, but I wanted to ask him, like, what is an engine bill run for one of those operations now that he's an owner driver? Because, I mean, they had to rebuild him after every run. It's got to be insane. And again, like I said during us talking to AB, we're cool with him now, so we can call him AB. But like I said, we're talking to him, like, NASCAR clutches pearls over like using one motor for for less than 4 races. They use one motor for every 4 runs, it's crazy. So yeah, no, that was super awesome. That really was a bucket list item, and for us, and I hope for you guys, the fans, that was something really cool for you guys to experience also. So
yeah, this was super cool to be on. Now it's funny. You would think growing up in Detroit, drag racing, all the places, all the things, NHRA didn't rock up to Milan Dragway until the last couple of years. So there's never really been a huge presence of like truly sanctioned drag racing in the area. But as Antron pointed out, I am a repository of very niche, very specific, very useless information. So as the result of that, I have, watched Antron Brown, again, same thing, Speed Channel highlights, usually, or like, ESPN2 or whatever would air drag race NHRA events if you had cable, and I would watch some of that stuff. And it is just insane. It was super cool to watch him because certainly here in the United States, successful black motorsports personality was just crazy. And then watching when he was on Top Gear, his counterpart, Rory Reed, but certainly here, out of all of the various iterations of that show, that's been the only African American on that show. And it's super cool to get to talk to him. I don't think I was quite as starstruck as Carl and Jarrett, just owing to arguably not knowing quite as much.
I was freaking out today.
Yeah, I know.
like I started my day at 4 a.m. this morning, 3:50, and from like the moment I woke up to the moment I walked through the front door, I was like, man, this is huge. I don't know what I'm even going to say. So yeah, it was awesome.
But nonetheless, it was still a fabulous opportunity to still sit down and get to chat with him, because I know who he is. I've watched him run, and I think it's also somewhat poignant to have him on this week, given that Don passed away earlier in the week.
Yeah.
So it, in some ways it was, super cool. And it was actually, we didn't have the time. Antron, needless to say, is a busy guy, and shoot, we're running up to the holidays, so he's got better things to do. But I wanted to actually talk to him a bit about Don this week, given that he drove for his team, but just, didn't quite get around to it. So, he said he was happy to chat with us and wanted to come back. So maybe next time I'll have to throw that at him if we can pull that off.
Yeah, that'll be great. Like I said, I wanted to bring that up too. And like I said, I also wanted to ask him, like, what's louder, a funny car or John Force? But I didn't get a chance to ask him that. But
hey, you got to chill.
Well, look, John makes fun of himself. I ain't got to do that for him. So, but yeah, it was fantastic. And, we bag on a lot of people in this show very often, among our own anyway. But I cannot give enough credit to Art for putting this together. He did this on a whim. He was like, "Hey, we got opportunity here," and me and Jarrett and Danny were like, "Look, if you think so, man, And we really just want to publicly give Art his moment, his roses for being a huge part of this, and then also letting us do the interview and all that kind of stuff. So Art, give yourself a pat on the back, but not too hard, because usually it's already doing that anyway. So besides that, yeah,
yeah. But with that, just thank you, Antron, once again, or AB. You're the one without the CTE, so y'all just remember when we mention AB. It's not CTE. It's Antron.
Oh, okay.
So I just shout out to Matco Tools. No.
Okay.
No.
Shout out Matco Tools. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Matco Tools. Shout out Toyota. Shout out Hangsterfers Labs for the lubricants that they use in the drag strip. Shout out to AB Motorsports. Make sure y'all give Antron a follow. He's stealing on Gel Sanpei run Top Fuel Alcohol for AB Motorsports as well this upcoming season. So that'll give us someone else to root for. Shout out Streamlight, everybody, Lucas Oil, all the people that help Antron put winning success on the track. What a year! Because I'm not coming back, before the new year. So this is the perfect episode wrap up for us. So y'all have a good Christmas, a good holiday, whatever you celebrate.
A great, safe holiday.
Don't do anything we wouldn't do.
Do everything that I would do. I want to hear No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. That's not.
You know what?
This is an official.
With that,
I hit myself on the head earlier today, so I ain't feeling too great. But
yeah, how you feel, Wile E. Coyote? You good?
Man, I tell you, I feel fine. And to anybody that doesn't know the story, I'll tell it real quick. To show how much everybody loves Carl, I joked on Twitter, I hit myself in the head with a mallet in the funniest way possible. It wasn't that bad. My bell was rung for like a minute, 30 seconds. And everybody immediately took the clown at me. Nobody was like, "Hey, are you okay? Are you fine?" I called my dad on the drive home. The first thing out of his mouth is, "Are you going to make the podcast on time?" "Yeah, I'll make the podcast on time." And so I did not tell him. I'm like, "Dad, I hit myself in the head with a mallet." He starts cracking up too. I'm like, "Golly, man. I can't get no love these days." But yeah, for sure. Y'all have a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year. Thank you again so much, Antron. If you listen to this is a dream come true. It was awesome. Shout out Matco Tools, AB Toyota Racing for being partners. Well, AB's team, but Toyota Racing, Matco for being partners of his. And thank y'all for supporting us through this year. It was awesome to bring you this one last episode for the year. We are excited for what 24 has to bring.
What's that? Happy holidays.